What is going on, people? Hope you're doing well. Good evening. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Pole Position Pod. The sprint season is underway. The sprint season has finally started. Only the second race in, and the sprint season is already back. First and foremost, people, if you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying watching these live videos, hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. 39 to 600 now, guys. We're 39 subscribers to 600. And if you want to see more of this, turn your notification bell on so you don't miss a live, you don't miss an upload, and you don't miss a video. Augustia is back. We're going to discuss the sprint race, or the sprint qualification. Hope you're doing good, man. And then, let's get started, man.
Yeah, well, I'm not the only one who's back. Big up the legend himself, Tifosi. Appreciate that. That is super high praise. I'm sure you yourself also shiny, Mr. Tifosi. But interesting sprint quali. I don't know about you guys. I wasn't able to catch the entirety of it. Ekevin will know why. Couple disruptions over.
I only saw the final. I only saw SQ3.
Okay. What
would you call? I didn't watch 1 and 2. I completely forgot about it. I only watched the final one, but I watched the highlights back already. So we'll get more discussion on that. Sorry about that.
Well, that's good because I think the biggest revelations from sprint qualifying weren't necessarily the qualities themselves, the sessions themselves, rather the outcomes. And I think we learned a lot about the pace of the cars and what to expect this entire weekend. Look, George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, Mercedes front row lockout. Did anyone predict or expect anything else? Because if you did, I think I would be amazed at your courageousness, also your radicalness, because that Mercedes car with that long ass straight in Shanghai, it is night, as Steph Curry could say. It is a foregone conclusion. No competition. It's just a coronation of the Silver Arrows. Expect George Russell and Kimi Antonelli to dominate their way tomorrow and also compound that with a brutal victory that will make Oscar Piastri's victory last year look amateur-esque. So Mercedes 1 and 2. Are we surprised? Give it 7 races. Give it till Monaco when that regulation check comes into play, where their engine compression gap gets amounted. Until then, it is going to be domination, especially on a track like China. But across the grid, apart from that, of course, Ollie Behrman. For those of you who watched our season preview, you would know I touted Ollie Behrman as someone that could finish in the top 10. At the moment, so far, that prediction is looking like a masterstroke, because he is going to get back-to-back top 10 finishes, finishing, I think it was, in the top 10 as well. And apart from that, I think, Red Bull. Red Bull, it's code red. No bull for the red, it's just code red. 2 seconds, Ekevin. Did you see Max Verstappen? He was 2 seconds behind Mercedes. Not because of an incident, because of pure pace. That's how far Max Verstappen is. I wonder how he's feeling, given the fact that he was supposed to join Mercedes, Ekevin. Is Max Verstappen reeling over the fact that the team he's supposed to be with is the outright top dog? And then obviously Ferrari, they tried their new Macarena, the Macarena wing. It didn't work out. And that's why tomorrow they'll revert back to their normal power. So, cool.
Things are messed up when Max couldn't even do anything. Bro, I think Max was complaining on the radio about his grip or the tires, or what was it? I don't know what he's complaining about, but there was something that he was complaining about. And he also came out and said he's not leaving anytime soon, so we can put all that to bed. Max ain't retiring. Max ain't leaving Formula 1 anytime soon, so we can put that one to bed. Also, I think, like I said, if you watch the race, you could the qualifiers, you could clearly see that Mercedes had the best grip of the race, or the qualifying. They barely looked like they were gonna be touched. You know what I mean? Mercedes, they don't. Sorry, you know what I'm trying to say. Mercedes doesn't look like they're gonna get touched. Pause or whatnot. But it's like the rest, and you had their lead driver come out and saying, "Oh, Ferrari have no right to complain," or Ferrari had the audacity to come complain. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm like, bro, you're in the car with the fastest, with the fastest tires, with the fastest engine, with everything. You've got your car this year. You've been an average driver for a very long time, but now your car is amazing. You want to come complain that others are complaining about your car.
Mm-hmm.
George Russell needs to shut his mouth for real. I'm not joking. Nah, it's just some of the comments he said, some of the things he said about about the rest of the cars, and also, what was I going to say again? Oh yeah. Max was complaining about the grip of the race or the track. it looked like his car was all over the place. You could clearly see it was slipping and sliding. Like it just didn't have control. And you could see that why Lando finished above Max. You could see why Max had a poor qualifying, poor SQ3. It's because of his tires. It's because of the grip. It's because of everything. And Lando Norris finished in the top three. Out of all drivers, you think Lando Norris was going to finish in the top three. I didn't think McLaren had it in them to finish in the top three. But like I said, this is sprint qualifying. We're not going to tell the whole picture. It's not going to tell the whole picture. I mean, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. It wasn't the most amazing qualifying, but it was relatively fair where they finished. You know what I mean? It's relatively fair where they finished. He's turning into Lando when others are talking about his car.
Lando on steroids.
Bro.
I think this is worse than anything Lando said.
Mm.
Because I don't want to cut you, Ekevin. Sorry.
No, please.
I agree with you, Ekevin. When you said George Russell, shut up, that's what you said verbatim. You're not the only one saying that. Like, pretty much the entire grid is saying that. Because I think the tragedy is George Russell is not trying to prove that he is the best driver. He's not even trying to prove that he has the fastest car. He is trying to prove that his opponents are better than they are. And I think that is the biggest salt to the wound. Because if you're so untouchable because of a loophole, because you can also drive the car from start to finish, and you have composure mentally, that's all well and good. But to claim that your opponents are competition when they are nowhere near you, to claim where they should be better than they should, that is obviously, some people will consider that as pervasive. Some would say that's preposterous. Some would say that is propaganda, dare I say. And it just, I don't even think sore loser is not the right word, but it just looks like he's a winner trying to justify why his victory is as meaningful. And again, I don't actually hate George Russell for it. He has to do that, right? Because again, life is about perception. And if he doesn't have that perception that he's the winning driver, sponsors, marketing, revenue, share prices, everything tanks. But at the same time, yeah, it comes across with lime, with lemon, with a bitter taste in the mouth.
I mean, at the end of the day, some drivers are ungrateful. It sounds like he sounds very ungrateful, or
Sure.
he sounds very greedy, because now he has the best car. He's now opening his mouth about, he's now talking about all this. Oh, Ferrari this, Mercedes that. Sorry, Mercedes that, Red Bull that. McLaren this and that. It's like, bro, Mercedes all of a sudden they now have the best engine. He's now talking. He's talking the utmost shit. It's embarrassing. You've been an average driver for a very long time, mate. Pipe down. You know what I'm trying to say? Seriously, pipe down. You've been an average driver for a very long time. I think he's a good driver, but the Mercedes engine tells more about them than it does about the drivers. A lot more about them than the drivers, because the drivers are not at the level that they should be. They're not in the. This car is perfect for a Lewis Hamilton. It's perfect for a Max Verstappen. It's perfect for would you call
everybody on the grid,
like a prime Fernando Alonso. And no disrespect to George Russell. Actually, whatever. I don't really care. Good luck to him this season. Honestly, if he's probably gonna win it anyways. Not seeing what's happening already in the sprints. I thought Lewis Hamilton was going to get disqualified. I really thought he touched it. I really thought his car touched the gravel. I really thought the car touched the gravel. You know what I mean? Because when he made that turn near what was it? Near the checkered flag, it looked like he really, it looked like he ran off the gravel, but he didn't. Luckily, he didn't. And yeah, man, I don't think the drivers have prepped well this week. So far, from what I've seen, they've not prepped well, and the regulations are being, and the regulations are, what do you call? It's being played into the regulations' hands, because you have these regulations in a track like China, where there's barely any control or any grip. You can see a lot of drivers slipping and sliding. You saw Lewis Hamilton in free practice slipping and sliding. You saw. Was it the Alpines? I think also having some issue. I don't know. I don't know what they had. I think Max was saying something about the Alpines. I forgot exactly what he said, but he said something on the radio after SQ2 or something. I don't remember what he said. You're gonna have to bring up some quotes for me. But like I said, the regulations are not going well so far. I'm gonna be real with you. Now we're trying. Now we're really gonna see the regulations for real because this track is a track where you have to be perfect. You have to have the control. You have to have the grip of the race. And I don't think any car will have it compared to Mercedes. Mercedes have everything in their hands. They've got everything. If they lose it this week, it's on the drivers. Mercedes have the engine. They've got everything, all in place for this weekend, and for pretty much most weekends in the season. But if they lose it, it's down to George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, in my opinion. But I think a lot of drivers had a very very poor qualifying. Ferrari had a poor qualifying. Max had a poor qualifying, and Arvid Lindblad had a SQ. He finished in SQ2. He didn't make it to SQ3. Ollie Behrman, he made it to the top 10. So, yeah, I mean, nothing much has changed. I mean, the regulations are still the same old, same old from last weekend. I don't think much is going to change. Australia also had a bit of issues. Now this weekend we're really going to see the real issues, and for me that's the grip. So yeah, that's just what I think. I don't know if what I said made sense, but that's just how I view it. That's just how I view it. See, I don't think how this weekend will be any different to last weekend.
And you're right, but except I'm going to double down. I'm going to disagree with you. I think it will be different. I just think it'll be different in a not good way, in a terrifying way, in a horrifying way for the sport. It will be complete dominion. It will be a one-horse race. The race will be over before it's begun. Because, like I said, unlike last weekend with the Melbourne circuit is a little bit more varied. It's a little bit more diverse in terms of straights, in terms of overtaking opportunities, in terms of corners, speed corners, high-speed corners as well. But Shanghai, yes, Sector 1 is very swervy. Yes, that Ferrari, even McLaren in those, that's why McLaren finished above Ferrari, in those top speed areas, they can punish Mercedes. But then when we talk about that long straight, Ekevin, that long-ass straight, one of the longest straights on the entire calendar in the history of Formula One, who benefits from that? That engine boost, that engine compression. And Leclerc, I think Leclerc said he lost 4 tenths just sitting on the straight, doing nothing, just driving in a straight line, doing what anybody can do, a layman. Your average Joe can do that. Sorry to Joe, but your average Joe can drive on the straight really well. He was struggling there, whereas Mercedes are gaining triple the amount an average team gains on those areas. So, look, I think this weekend, you're right. If George Russell and Kimi Antonelli don't win, it will be because they had an eternal fuck-up, to put it bluntly, because they didn't hold their serve. Ekman, for Mercedes, this is the equivalent of being one set and one breakup in a Masters final. Basically, you got to hold your serve. You got a set. Yeah, you still have a set. Things can happen. You can get injured. There can be a safety car. But you just have to hold your serve. And if you hold your serve, you are going to win the race tomorrow, both sprint race and also the real race on Sunday. Apart from that, the rest of the grid, he's turning into Lando when others talk about the car. You're right. Although I don't think it's a George Russell personality problem. I just think that's what happens when you enter the top of the grid. When you turn to the top of the grid, you go from being the loving, the selfless, the charismatic hunter to the hunted. And when you are the hunted in that flight or fight mode, when you are protecting, I guess, the power dynamic that you have, you do things at the expense of other people, even if you don't want to hurt them. So when it comes to George Russell over here, I think that he is just turning into someone that is prioritizing victory over prioritizing sympathy. And he is going to do whatever it takes to market himself, even if he means no ill will, even if he means no negativity, no harm. That is just the reality of being in a power position. Not a Formula One thing. That's a society problem. And then you see George, one practice session wasn't enough. Yeah, Tifosi, you hit the nail on the head. Ekevin, you were talking about teams not being prepared, right? You were saying teams aren't prepared for this sprint qualifying. That's what the sprint weekend does. Automatically, these new regulations, teams don't even understand the brittle of it. Look at Williams. Williams was a team that sacrificed the last 3 years to be prepared, to be equipped, to prosper extraordinarily this season. They have been a shell of themselves. Didn't Sainz and Albon both go out in SQ1? Williams, where have they been? They are the third worst team on the grid after Aston Martin and Cadillac, which is a nightmare. A disaster.
Yeah, Sergio Perez wasn't even able to do qualifying. He had some engine mechanical failures. Wasn't it?
Exactly, and yeah, and teams aren't ready. And I think the likes of Fernando Alonso, you mentioned Alpine, they were complaining about I think it was their aero, it was their active aero flaps. They were shaking, they were not retracting fully, causing massive drag, which obviously holds back the drivers. And then for the rest of the grid, Red Bull, yeah, Max was, you're right, Ekovin, verbatim, you wanted quotes. He complained about, quote, zero grip and terrible downshifts, which means the entire engine and gearbox out of sync completely. Like they are
Yeah,
beyond out of sync. They're not even on the same page to be able to mount a proper performance. And Red Bull are really struggling with their engine harvesting at the moment, which is why
yeah,
that 2 second is on merit. That
yeah.
isn't incident. That isn't circumstantial. That is, unfortunately, the truth, the harsh truth that Red Bull at the moment are a couple seconds behind the Mercedes cars, which
Mm.
last year, let's not forget, to end the year, Red Bull were probably the second fastest car behind McLaren, and Max was winning races. He was your best driver in the second half of the season. So it's a night and day difference. Then
Pretty much.
when you move up the grid a little bit more, Ferrari and McLaren, yeah, I think if you were to do the top four, be Mercedes number one by some distance, Red Bull number four by some distance. Most tracks Ferrari will be better than McLaren, but McLaren are in and abouts. Because Kevin, let's not forget, McLaren are also getting a bit of a engine boost, right? Because they're a Mercedes supplier.
The Mercedes, yeah, exactly. I just
So
remembered as well.
so yeah, apart from that, and then with Ferrari, I don't know, Kevin, how are you feeling? Because I think it's mixed feelings.
Yeah,
Like we said,
I'm not surprised. Like I said, I think both drivers are in no place to stress out because
Yeah.
you know these it's none of their fault. So, and you know, as much as I criticize Ferrari, it's not their fault either. As much as I criticize Ferrari, this is not their fault.
100%.
It's the regulations that I blame on the FIA. You know, it's regulations that are not that's racing that's not fair and not equal for everyone. This is racing for one group of engine, for one engine group, and that's Mercedes. So the Mercedes engines will strive in these regulations because their engine is the best this year by a distance. They've got the best package, they've got the best, they've got the best battery, they've got the best grip, they've got everything. Mercedes have it all this year. So don't be surprised if McLaren shoots straight up to second. Don't be surprised that McLaren finished second in the constructors and the drivers are within the championship races this year. Don't be surprised. You know, the regulations have not started off well, and I just think it's more to do with how these teams manage that, and you know what? I can't really blame them because the FIA have really made these regulations hard for everyone to manage. They've made it hard for everyone to manage. They made it hard for everyone to race in. It's difficult conditions. It's going to be very, very difficult for everyone else to compete against Mercedes now because they have the total package, whereas other cars don't. Whereas Red Bull don't have the package. Ferrari don't have the package this year, especially so far. I mean, Ferrari started off well last week. I'm not gonna shit on Ferrari for what they did last week. It's fair enough. Like they finished in a decent position, right? Top four. Ferrari finished third and fourth last week. This weekend, I'm seeing a little bit of a downgrade in terms of pace. That's a little bit worrying, but that's because it's the track and that's the regulations, and that's playing into the hands of the regulations. That's down to how they manage their tires this weekend as well. It has to be the medium tires for me this weekend. Or the hard. I think actually, I lied. They have to go on the hard tires this weekend. It has to be on the hard tires this weekend because if they don't do hard tires, I think they'll struggle. The medium tires and the soft tires will not go on this race. It's either medium in the middle sector and then the hard tires for the final sector. I think they start off with the hard tires, go into the medium tires and then back to the hard tires again this weekend, just for this weekend. Next weekend it goes back to next race I think it goes back to medium. Because I think China's, like I said, the track in China has not been good for the grip. And if you look at, for example, the final turn of the race or the final turn of the lap, you see how many cars struggle to go around that area. If you fall into the gravel, you're leader. Exactly. Yeah. the most difficult part.
Lewis
Because
Hamilton knows that more than anyone else there.
oh, bro, last year in qualifying, Lewis Hamilton's time got deleted because he went to the gravel, right? It was qualifying of last year that
Because he won
Hamilton
the
went.
sprint. It was the main
He won the
qualifying.
sprint. He won the sprint exactly, and then he and then in the other qualifying he went to the gravel. So lap time got deleted, and you know all things didn't go well. But like I said, it has to go down to it has to go down to that final turn for me. That's where that decides the race. The final turn of the corner of that lap decides the race, because you have to be perfect. You don't want to get no penalties. You don't want to get no grid penalties or pit stop penalties or whatnot. You have to avoid that, especially on this track. I know they have the long straights. Mercedes 1 and 2, simple as. Not gonna. I'm not even gonna not even gonna shy away from that. It's gonna be a Mercedes 1 and 2. I'm looking at more who's gonna be 3 and 4. I'm not looking at 1 and 2. Pretty much this is 3 and 4, not 1 and 2. We all know who's 1 and 2 unless they.
It's the real race is the podium, the last podium place. That's the race, right? It's which one of Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, or Leclerc or Verstappen can get on the podium. That's it. Whoever's on the podium with the Mercedes drivers, that's the real winner. Would you agree with me?
Say it again.
I'm saying it's one of Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, Leclerc, and Verstappen. Whichever one of that can get on the podium, that's really the winner of the race we're watching.
I don't
because the
think
first
call me crazy.
Of course, look,
Verstappen.
I don't think Verstappen himself would believe that, but at the same time, I can't discount him. It's Max Verstappen. If the Red Bull car is better on a race day than a qualifying day, there is no one else on the grid but Max Verstappen to actually capitalize on that. Big up, Kyle, in the chat.
Big up, Kyle, man. Football Overseas. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel, people at Football Overseas. Big up to you, bro. You're close to 1K. Get there very, very soon, broski. Regulations are working in races and not qualifying. But what I mean is how they control the grip of the final turn of the lap. That's the regulation I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the race. No, I didn't. I didn't cut my hair, bro. I don't cut my hair. You know, my religion. I don't cut my hair. So I don't do that, bro. I don't cut my hair. Sorry. Anyways, go on.
But yeah, I agree with you. But I think the regulations, there are multiple different ways of looking at it. Even on a race day, yes, the overtakes in abundance, that is welcome. That is so recommended. That is extremely welcomed. We are grateful for that. But it's also the drivers. The drivers aren't enjoying it as much. And it's not just the thing where, the drivers at the back of the grid, the drivers who aren't competing for world championships, like a Fernando Alonso, he's a good litmus test. Because no matter what's happening, he will tell you whether he's enjoying it or he's not enjoying it. Many other drivers as well here. And Albon and Carlos Sainz, they're good examples of it. Of course, Hamilton as well will tell you sometimes. Verstappen is a great indicator, but he can also be results driven. All the drivers, as they would like to, right? They're all finding it like Mario Kart. Lando, I think, called it Mario Kart. Max said he's even been playing Mario Kart. Leclerc's called it Mario Kart. So the problem is, yes, the regulations, if the aim was to make it more competitive, to have better wheel-to-wheel racing, you got it. You won. And I think the problem for these regulations is it's not really the regulations that are screwing up the competition. It's the Mercedes factor. If Mercedes didn't have a car that was that dominant and Mercedes engine compression wasn't that supreme, they would be in the same tier as a McLaren, as a Ferrari, on some tracks also Red Bull. They would still probably be your fastest car, but it'd be close. And we'd be getting wheel-to-wheel racing like we saw in the first stint in Melbourne. The problem is it isn't like that. I need to sneeze. I'll be back.
No worries, man. No worries. People continue to hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. We're 39 subs away. So guys, if you can subscribe, hit the like button and leave and comment as well. And turn your notification bells so you don't miss it live, you don't miss an upload, you don't miss a video. Sorry, I guess you continue, bro.
Yeah, that would have been a great if I didn't have to sneeze and I was trying to hold it in. That would have been a really good clip as to about the new regulations. But nonetheless, the regulations in terms of competition, in terms of wheel-to-wheel racing, in terms of sustainable, repeated action, they worked. They're a massive success. The numbers don't lie. we are also getting a closer grid in general. The problem is you have one outlier, and that outlier happens to be at the very top. We also do have outliers at the bottom, but the midfield is very competitive between all but those three teams at the bottom: Cadillac, Aston, and Williams. The top, it's anyone's to win. I mean, Ollie Behrman, the Alpines, the Haas's are getting in the mix for points. You have McLaren, Ferrari, and then Red Bull pretty much on similar terms. Of course, you expect Ferrari to be the best of them on most tracks, Red Bull to be the worst on most tracks.
Not
But
this
sometimes,
weekend. Not
but
this weekend.
sometimes the order is different. Yeah, this weekend I think that the high speed at the beginning plays into McLaren's hands and the engine boost. But yeah, the point is they work. And yes, I to Fosi's comment, I agree. I
Mm.
completely agree. Yeah. This is, I think, what we need. I think we need for this regulations to be a successful season. You need a title race. You can't have a foregone conclusion, or at least you need a championship where the drivers at the top are your S tier drivers that are entertaining people, that are stunning people, and having a George versus Kimi fight, having a rookie in his second year like Lewis Hamilton, and then Russell, the man who finally gets a shot, who is
I
worthy of the championship car, go head to head. That would be cinema.
I think this will be similar to what McLaren did last year. Very
Ooh.
similar in terms of what McLaren did last year. In terms of like one driver's going to win this week, one driver's going to win the other week. It's going to be like a swap. One driver's going to be favored over the other one week after the other. That's how I see it. Because they're locked in at 1 and 2 for me. They're locked in at 1 and 2. It just depends on who turns up on the weekend. Whose car is better on the weekend? You know what I mean?
Whose driver is better on the weekend?
Yeah. Whose drive is better on the weekend? Exactly.
I
Depends qualifying as well.
I I I hear you, Tifosi. I think that's absolutely what needs to happen, but I agree with Kyle. Problem is, I think it will be more similar to Hamilton and Bottas than it would be to Norris and Piastri, than it would be to Hamilton and Rosberg.
Yeah.
Of course, peak Kimi Antonelli. I think it will be better than Hamilton Bottas. I don't think Kimi is your definitive number two driver. I think he will win some races. He can't even compete for the championship. He may even win the championship. I think at his peak he absolutely can. The problem is it's his second year. It's a completely new regulation. All that pressure. Even in Melbourne, yes, he finished second, but it was an impressive second place finish because he was struggling the entire weekend. There was issues with the car. There were issues again with the acclimation. So I think the problem for Kimi is there are some races, Ekevin, you're right. He's going to be blistering fast than George Russell. But across the season, when it comes to durability, when it comes to reliability, when it comes to sheer consistency, I think Russell will have that over him, especially mentally. Because I know a lot of people are shitting on George Russell. But the truth is, especially last year, Russell was best of the rest. Outside of Max Verstappen, he was the best driver in the grid. Every
Yeah.
time his car was in a winning position, he was getting you wins. Every time it wasn't in a winning position, he was minimizing the losses. And he's really stewarded into the leadership role. So, of course, on pure pace, on pure apex ability, he isn't Max Verstappen. He isn't Lewis Hamilton. And he probably isn't Fernando Alonso. But he certainly is a very good driver who give him a championship car across the season almost more times than not. I think even more consistently than Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. He can win you the championship, and that's a
The
clip.
only problem is he talks like he's already a champion.
Sure.
He talks like he's already a champion, and that's where I think he needs to relax a little bit, because this is only race number 2. We're not even in race number 2 yet. We just did the sprint qualifying, so I would be a bit wary if I was George Russell just for now, until he's got that championship trophy. Then I would start, but I wouldn't even say anything.
Ekevin, not even that. It's, dude, after race 7, we don't know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
When Mercedes lose that advantage, right? When they lose that advantage of 18-1 engine compression wing, what happens? Will they become a contender? Will they still be a coordinated team for victories? What would it be? So I think we have a lot of questions that do need to be answered.
You haven't had the saying. You haven't heard the saying. You want to be something and act like act and speak like you what you want.
Manifest.
I guess you could manifest it, but don't talk like you're looking down on others when you've only been at the top once or slowly getting to the top.
Yeah, but it's not even that. Can I jump?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say like they talk too much when they're down when they're up, but when they're down they don't be talking a lot. That's how I say it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But I think there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. It's a fine line. And I think what Ekman's talking about is, yes, you can manifest your path and internally look at like a Messi or a Federer. Again, Messi, greatest footballer of all time. Federer has been the best tennis player for many parts of his career. They've never openly or explicitly said that they are the best ever. But internally, they 100% believe that. They have to believe that. If they don't have that belief, they will never be the best. Belief is like 50% of the battle. It is the most important part. But again, when you start making statements that like we're the best, and then you start deciding, where we are on the grid, where the other teams are, when you start speaking for other people, it travels beyond confidence and it goes to arrogance. And I think Ekman, that's your point. It's like
Yeah.
Russell's talking like he's already won the championship. Like it's the
Mhm.
first of 23 or 21 races. Relax. You're the favorite. You absolutely have shown that you can do it. No reason why you shouldn't win the championship. And you should be confident. But any declarations about how the season's going to pan out, way too premature.
Yeah.
And again, I think it only, again, someone that can talk like that, like who can talk about what's going to happen confidently and have less stick is like a Max Verstappen. It's someone at the top of their game. It's like the best in each industry, like a Timothy Chalamet in acting. He's probably like the only one in his generation who can talk that arrogantly. If anyone else does it, it's like you're being arrogant. You're not speaking based on your record. So, yeah.
They. It's more like what's I gonna say again? So I was gonna say something just now. There, it's more like he's running up his mouth when like second race didn't even happen yet. There's no
Yeah.
point running up your mouth now when the season's not even over. It barely just started. Because once Mercedes are found out, and once everyone starts to really improve over the course of the season, and Mercedes start to struggle a bit more, then then we'll talk. You know what I'm trying to say?
It's like the Luca quote. You mentioned it, but Luca said it one time in a playoff series. I think it was against Minnesota and OKC. All these guys, they can talk when they're winning. When they're losing,
I
if
think
they
that's
don't talk.
I think that's Anthony Edwards, not Luka Doncic. I think it's
No, no,
Anthony
no, no,
Edwards.
no, no, no. Luca said this to the Timberwolves. You can search this up. I am so
Okay,
confident with this one. And he
okay.
beat them. Remember he had a game winner on them, then eliminated them in the playoffs? Was it a couple years back? Luca said that these guys, and no, because this was OKC. They were up 3 games. I think they were up 3 games to 2. Or the Suns. No, this was the Suns many years ago.
Mm.
Remember the Mavs Sun series where he took them to game 7, and the Mavs
And he
destroyed
destroyed.
them.
Yeah, yeah. I
The
remember
Suns were up 3-2. Devin Booker, Chris Paul were talking shit. Luca looked at the camera and was like, "These guys, when we were winning, they were silent. When I'm gonna talk because I know we're gonna end up winning." And he had the accomplishments to back him up. He had the ability to back him up. What happened? He won. So I think that's what Ekman's trying to say. It's like these guys, they talk when they're in a winning position. They talk like they've won everything, but slow down, relax, have the exactly. Don't be a shit talker, be a truth teller.
these guys who came in after sorry, these guys who came in after 2018-19 are shit talkers. True, true. But I mean, we've covered pretty much a lot of the sprint. I mean, unless you have anything more to add before we close out, because I mean, do you have anything more to say? You sure?
I don't. I don't either. No, I think predictions. Right. That's about it.
Yeah, I can. I'll do predictions now. I think, but I just
Yeah.
want to say this. I'm not going to blame Ferrari if they don't have a good race this weekend. I blame this more on the regulations and the
But
FIA because they've not instilled good regulations in my opinion. But listen, it is what it is.
can I
I,
just? Sorry. Go on.
no, I'm finished.
Yeah, I was gonna say sorry because I thought you were on the regulations, and I was gonna say Lewis Hamilton came out about what you said. Can I mention his quote? This is directly addressing what you were saying. I didn't want to interrupt you. That's why I wasn't sure whether to say it or not. Sorry.
No. He said something about regulations, right?
No, Hamilton actually said on the Ferrari deficit. He's proud
Yeah.
of what Ferrari are doing, but he's not critical of Mercedes. He said Mercedes caught something that nobody else caught. That's the thing. He said that he complimented Mercedes. He only gave them praise. He showered them in with praise. He said they deserve to be where they are because they exploited a loophole. They did a very good job. And they have this engine boost that will be hard to mount the deficit, but is plausible to do so. So, um, yeah, big up to Fosi.
I think this race is Ferrari versus Mercedes.
Mate, I don't think there is a versus Mercedes. I think it's just Mercedes.
It's just gonna be a Mercedes versus Mercedes engines, pretty much. Send me Mercedes versus Mercedes engines. We already know what's going. We already know the story, mate. We already know the story. But yeah, shall we get to predictions? Or you have anything?
Nope.
Predictions. Man said, "Oh yeah, that song in it is it."
It's a song, but it's also basically Ferrari had a Macarena wing that they brought to Shanghai. They tried it in free practice. It was abysmal, so they removed it. And it was something they used in testing. Didn't work out.
Yeah, but Kyle, last year we saw what happened in China, don't we? So, but yeah. Anyways, predictions for. Sorry, go on.
I don't want to interrupt you. You're right, but Kyle, it's not just what we saw last year in China. Ferrari aren't racing China; they're racing Mercedes. Mercedes weren't here last year. Mercedes got this.
They're using it this weekend also. We'll see.
No, Tifosi, they've announced that they were going to use it, but they've replaced it back to their original wing. But thank you for that.
George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, and I'm gonna go Lewis Hamilton to finish third. Actually, and I think Lando Norris comes fourth, outsider. Charles Leclerc will have a good sprint this weekend. I think it'll be Lewis Hamilton in third, outsider Lando Norris. Prediction?
Yeah, I mean, the race starts are really interesting. It's a sprint. Ferrari are so good at race starts, so Hamilton might even jump up to first. Don't forget that. Leclerc might jump up as well. I think it'll be Russell, Antonelli, Hamilton, Norris, Leclerc. That's my prediction.
Outsider?
To win the race, Lewis Hamilton.
No, just like for the podium or to win the race, maybe.
Leclerc.
Yeah. Leclerc? Okay. Fair enough. But anyways, I mean, that's been the sprint race. We are going to be back live tomorrow for the called
pole.
We'll be back live.
Who's on pole? I could pick. I'm picking Russell.
Yeah, Russell on pole. I said Russell number 1, Kimi Antonelli number 2, and then it'll be Leclerc number 3. Yeah. This is interesting. Interesting prediction. I like it, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Mercedes 1 and 2 is simple. They were just the best above the rest. Simple.
Yeah.
They were the best of the rest. Like you just clearly see it. You can see the distance between Mercedes and everyone else. Yeah, I think Russell will win the race, and I think number 2 will be Kimi, and I think number 3 will be Charles, but number 4 will be Lando. Sorry, you guys anything, Augustus?
Charles over Hamilton.
Sorry, Hamilton over Charles. My bad. Sorry, I was reading the comments, so I said Leclerc back to them. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I think Hamilton will come third, and I think Lando fourth, and then outside of that probably Charles fifth, and then the rest of them.
I agree.
But yeah, that's been the sprint. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the predictions of the race and the review of the sprint race. We'll be back live tomorrow. I'm back live tonight for the Premier League show, so make sure you guys stay tuned to that. Tomorrow, me and Augusta will be back live for the pole position pod again, and for the Red Army Run pod tomorrow as well. The United show, United Aston Villa on the weekend, so we can preview that one on Saturday. And 3 shows this weekend. We got the Formula 1 on Sunday as well to review the race. So we got 2 more shows left for the Formula 1 and for United and the Premier League show, all in due time. Thank you guys for supporting the channel as always. Thank you guys for joining. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. 39 subs to 600. Turn your notification bell on. Leave a comment so you don't, and also turn your notification bell so you don't miss a live, you don't miss an upload, you don't miss the video, and leave a like. Helps out the channel, helps out the algorithm, helps out us. We do content for you guys. So if you guys want to see more Formula 1 content, let me know. If you guys want to see Formula 1, more Formula 1 videos, more Formula 1 lives, let us know. Leave it in the comments. Big up to Fosi, big up Football Overseas. Big up, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe to Kyle's channel, Football Overseas. He's close to 1K. Very, very close to 1K. Can't wait till he hits 1K, man. Big up to you, brother. And yeah, Augustia, anything before we wrap up the show?
No, enjoy it. First 7 races, Mercedes trying to accumulate as many points as possible. That's what it's going to be. Enjoy it.
Cool. Anyways, people, like, share, subscribe. Forza Ferrari. Have a good rest of the evening. See you guys for the Premier League show in about 6 hours. Peace. Take care.